Every once in a while, the universe does something that forces us to question everything. Our science, our logic, even our sense of reality. It begins quietly, a flicker of light in the dark, a whisper in the static. Something so subtle it almost goes unnoticed. But then that whisper turns into a message. In July, a faint object appeared against the cosmic backdrop. Nothing special, just another silent wanderer drifting between the stars. But as astronomers tracked it, that unremarkable speck revealed itself to be anything but ordinary. They named it Three-Eye Atlas, marking it as only the third confirmed visitor from beyond our solar system. Yet this one felt different, alive, almost aware. Soon, radio telescopes across the globe detected something no one could explain, a single deliberate transmission. Not noise, not interference, a signal coherent, structured, and powerful enough to ripple across continents. For the first time in history, the silence of deep space had been broken, and we were not the ones speaking. That's when everything changed. Because as Three-Eye Atlas came closer, its behavior defied every law of physics. Its rotation was too precise, its light too uniform, its composition too organized to be random. It adjusted its trajectory gently, purposefully, whenever Earth had a clear view of it, as if ensuring we wouldn't miss it. Then the James Webb Space Telescope turned its gaze toward the object, and what it saw shouldn't exist: a smooth metallic surface, a heat signature that never fluctuated, patterns geometric, mathematical, engineered. And just when scientists were ready to share their findings, the data went dark, locked behind government firewalls, classified under national security. So we're left with one chilling question. What if Three-Eye Atlas isn't a rock, but a messenger? What if it's not us observing it, but it observing us? When the faint object now known as Three-Eye Atlas was first detected, astronomers expected nothing more than another silent traveler, a piece of cosmic debris drifting aimlessly through our solar system. But then, without warning, something happened that no one was prepared for. Across the planet, from the Very Large Array in New Mexico to the Atacama Desert Observatory in Chile, and even as far as the Square Kilometer Array in South Africa, radio telescopes began to register the same impossible event. A signal, not the random hiss of cosmic radiation or the usual interference of space weather, but a coherent transmission. It was short, precise, intentional. A single pulse spanning only seconds but rich with structure, like a mathematical heartbeat encoded in light. At first, teams scrambled to verify their instruments. Maybe it was a solar flare, a satellite bounce, a human-made reflection. But when independent observatories confirmed identical readings, all theories began to crumble. This wasn't background noise, it was a message. The frequency was clean, the signal narrow and symmetrical, far too organized for any natural process. It didn't repeat, and it didn't match any known communication band. The pulse had the distinct hallmark of intelligence, something deliberate, directed, and aware. For days, scientists hesitated to go public. They compared data, cross-checked timing, and tried every possible explanation. But the conclusion was unavoidable. The transmission originated from the exact coordinates of Three-Eye Atlas, the interstellar visitor that had just entered our cosmic backyard. What made it even more haunting was when it happened. The signal arrived at the precise moment the object's orientation shifted, as if turning a reflective face toward Earth. Then, after that single emission, it fell completely silent again. No follow-up, no repetition, nothing but cold space. The world's leading astrophysicists were suddenly faced with a terrifying question. If this was a message, who or what sent it? NASA and ESA convened emergency briefings, while SETI analysts spent sleepless nights decoding the signal structure. Within the pulse, they found rhythmic intervals, ratios that mirrored prime numbers, patterns too deliberate to be coincidence, a language of logic, the universal signature of intelligence. Some theorized that it was a test, a simple ping to confirm receipt, like a knock on the door of an unfamiliar house. Others feared it was a warning, a brief transmission meant for someone else, intercepted accidentally by us. But one detail unsettled scientists more than all the others. The signal wasn't aimed broadly across the solar system. It was directional, focused, narrow-beamed. Whatever sent it, it knew exactly where we were. For the first time in human history, the universe had spoken, not with light or gravity or chance, but through deliberate design. And yet, after that first pulse, nothing. Silence. As if the sender had delivered its message and then simply turned away. Was it an accident, a greeting, a probe verifying our existence? Or was the message never meant for us at all? One researcher described it best in a late-night briefing that was never meant for the public. We spend centuries asking if anyone out there can hear us, but maybe the real question is, what happens when something finally answers? Whatever that brief transmission meant, one thing had become terrifyingly clear. The silence of the universe was over. As the data surrounding 3I Atlas grew more complex, and the contradictions more undeniable, the scientific community reached a breaking point. No matter how many theories were proposed, every explanation only deepened the mystery. The numbers didn't fit, the chemistry didn't fit, the physics definitely didn't fit. And so, after months of debate and thousands of hours of observation, the discussion reached a chilling consensus. There were only two possible scenarios left. In the first, 3I Atlas is the most extraordinary natural object ever observed by humankind. A comet or fragment from an alien solar system, forged in a place so different from ours that it defies everything we know about matter and motion. If that's true, then it means our understanding of the universe is incomplete, that the laws we've spent centuries writing are only the surface of something deeper, stranger, and infinitely more dynamic. It would rewrite physics, chemistry, and planetary science from the ground up. It would mean that nature is capable of creating perfection, a body that can balance its rotation, resist solar radiation, and maintain a flawless engineered geometry entirely by chance. But the second scenario is far more unsettling. Because if 3I Atlas is not natural, if its flawless trajectory, uniform luminosity, and deliberate transmission were intentional, then it means we have just witnessed the first confirmed contact with a technology not made by human hands. A visitor from another civilization, one that mastered interstellar travel long before we discovered flight. In that case, 3I Atlas isn't just a comet, it's a machine. A probe sent to observe, record, and possibly communicate. Its smooth metallic surface, its stable orientation, its ability to withstand solar radiation. These wouldn't be anomalies. They'd be features, the deliberate design of an intelligence capable of operating across cosmic time, where distances of light years are nothing more than a navigation problem already solved. And if that's true, then humanity has already crossed a threshold it can never return from. Because the moment we confirmed 3I Atlas came from beyond the stars, and the moment it sent a signal, we ceased to be alone. Governments know this. That's why the data blackout was so absolute, why the recordings vanished from public databases, why national security was suddenly invoked by agencies that until then had been open and collaborative. To admit that we are being observed, that something intelligent has entered our solar system and chosen to announce itself, would change civilization overnight. For some scientists, that's exactly the point. The object's timing, its behavior, and its silence all seem designed to provoke thought, not fear, to test how we respond to the unknown, to see if we can face evidence of other intelligence without collapsing under disbelief or panic. And that is the terrifying beauty of this moment. Because whether 3I Atlas is a comet beyond comprehension or a machine beyond imagination, both outcomes redefine what it means to be human. If it's natural, it proves that the universe is more creative than we've ever dreamed, capable of building order out of chaos, perfection out of randomness. But if it's artificial, it means we are not the first civilization to wonder if we're alone. It means someone else has already crossed that vast, silent distance, and they might still be watching. In the end, these are the only two futures we have, one where the cosmos is wilder than our science can contain, and one where it's smarter. Either way, the discovery of 3i Atlas has already changed everything. Because no matter which truth we choose to believe, humanity will never look at the stars the same way again. For months, humanity has stared at 3i Atlas, measuring, analyzing, and decoding every flicker of its light. But what if we've had it backward all along? What if the observer isn't us? This question began as a whisper, a casual speculation among astronomers who noticed something too precise to ignore. Each time Earth aligned for optimal observation, 3i Atlas seemed to adjust its position, not randomly, but subtly, as if reacting to our gaze. When our telescopes tracked it, its brightness would fluctuate. When we lost line of sight, it stabilized again. These weren't coincidences. They were patterns that suggested awareness. Soon, astrophysicists began to consider the unthinkable, that we were the ones being studied. If 3i Atlas were truly a natural object, it should behave like every other interstellar visitor. Passive, indifferent, its course dictated solely by gravity and momentum. But this one acted differently. Its trajectory corrections, its rotational precision, even the timing of its transmission, all pointed toward one chilling possibility: that it wasn't here to reveal itself, but to observe how we react to it. That idea gained traction after the data blackout. When NASA, ESA, and other agencies classified the new findings, some researchers privately suggested that the censorship itself might be part of the test, that whatever intelligence controls 3i Atlas already expected us to panic, to divide, to hide, and that our response was being measured. Because if this object truly is a probe, then its mission wouldn't be conquest or communication. It would be evaluation, a quiet assessment of whether a species like ours, still fractured, fearful, and obsessed with control, is ready to face a greater cosmic community. The logic behind the theory was almost cruel in its simplicity. The universe is vast, ancient, and filled with potential civilizations. For any advanced intelligence, sending signals randomly would be wasteful. But sending probes, self-sustaining machines capable of silent surveillance, would be far more efficient. They wouldn't need to announce themselves. They just need to watch. And that's what makes 3i Atlas so haunting, because everything about it fits the profile of an observer. Its metallic surface reflects light with the efficiency of engineered alloys. Its internal temperature remains constant, as though powered by an internal energy source. And its hollow structure, confirmed by density readings, would be perfect for housing instruments or data archives, not for surviving cosmic collisions. Even the signal it emitted makes more sense through this lens. It wasn't a greeting or an attempt to start a conversation. It was a ping, a calibration pulse, a way to announce that the subject of study, Earth, had finally noticed. If that's true, then we may not have made a discovery at all. We may have simply triggered an observation that has been waiting for us for centuries. The timing of its arrival, after Oumuamua, after Borisov, might not be coincidence either. It could be part of a sequence, a gradual escalation designed to test how we handle anomalies, disbelief, and revelation. Each object stranger than the last. Each one pushing the limits of our skepticism until denial becomes impossible. And if that's the case, 3i Atlas might not be the last. It could be the final step before contact, or before judgment. As one anonymous researcher from the European Southern Observatory put it in an internal memo leaked briefly before vanishing online, maybe they're not here to speak to us yet. Maybe they're still deciding if we're worth speaking to.